Welcome back to Around the Block with GoodBlock. I'm your host, Nathaniel, and also hosting today with me is Douglas. Today, we're talking about block producers. Block producers are core to blockchain functionality. And to help us explain this topic, we've brought in two popular block producers from the Telos mainnet, Michael from TelosUSA and Kylan from the Telos Crew. More on that in a moment, but first, remember to like, share, and subscribe this video, and turn on notifications to be notified when we drop more content like this. Let's get started. All right, let's bring in our guests. Michael is from TelosUSA, also known as EOSUSA. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Michael.
Hey,
Secondly, we have Kylan from Telos Crew, and he's our other block producer that we've invited into this recording. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me.
Smiling Kylan, good to see you here.
Finally, we have Douglas with GoodBlock, as always, and myself, Nathaniel. All right, so I'm just going to open it up. Why would somebody want to be a BP? Michael?
Bad life choices.
They'd have to be crazy, yeah.
They didn't read the fine print because they see the vision in blockchain. I mean, this is like the internet of 1990s. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, but you always want to be involved with it and kind of help in any way that you can, and maybe see the rockets shoot to the moon. But like I say, the main thing is advancing the tech and getting to work with a lot of different projects and great ideas. That's probably the most rewarding part of it. Is I always say is it like the internet of 1990s. There's a Steve Jobs, or I guess he was in the 70s, or sitting there, Amazon as a bookstore, and eBay as a help wanted ad or something like that. There's some really cool stuff that I think is about to kind of change the world. So it's always cool to be heavily involved with it.
Kylan?
Yeah, I was going to say, when it comes to being a BP, it's kind of a unique position because you have kind of this sort of service that you can provide, and a blockchain can just kind of pay you directly, assuming that you're able to get enough votes. I think there aren't many, how would I say this? There are not many positions or careers where you can start it off from scratch, get in, start getting compensated relatively early on, and then theoretically turn it into an entire career or possibly even an entire company, which a lot of block producers have done in the antelope IO space. So yeah, I think it's obviously, it takes a lot of initiative, but I think a lot of people have turned it into something where it is their career, and now they are working full time on this sort of technology that they like, which I think I think that's a beautiful thing personally.
Yeah. I'm employed because of it, and I know all you guys are partially employed because of it. Douglas?
Yeah. It's interesting, I had been in mining. I really want to see this technology take off. I particularly want to see Telos take off, and I almost had to be the first block producer because we back in the day we built a test net, and and all these things. To me, it's hard to imagine my life without Telos in it right now, and being a block producer is a great way to kind of keep that going. Hopefully, I try to model behavior for what I think would be good for Telos block producers to do. So I think that's it's part of the sort of the leadership of the chain, and I'm very glad to be doing it. That's pretty much why I do it.
So a question that we had from one of our viewers was, how much does it cost you guys to run your nodes? And
interesting, because I think there's like three kinds of, so that's going to be a great question. We should all talk about it to some extent, because the three of us are kind of three different types of block producers, right? So there's the block producers who sort of just rent their block their stuff on the internet, like in
cloud, right?
Yeah, basically cloud. Even though they're bare metal, I'm sure they're just not on premises, right? Then there's some. So Kylan, that's probably you.
Yep.
And then Nathaniel, we have a rack in a co-location data center, right? And then Michael runs his own massive data center operation. those are some differences. And you also, there's some differences about what services you provide. So like Kylan, you're doing services, you're primarily adding by doing development, right? For the chain. And Michael, you're doing like running a lot of different services and servers and helping,
working with all the projects,
helping us. Yeah, exactly. And you're helping us lead the Leap 3.1 changeover and things like that.
Yeah.
GoodBlock is kind of does a bit of both. So there's all these different kinds. So yeah, why don't you, Kylan, go ahead. Why don't you tell us about how it works for you?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, I think even Michael will probably agree that he and I, the sort of services we provide are almost as different as they could be as block producers, right? As someone who naturally, as block producers, you have to be able to get votes, and one way to get votes is to create apps that actually are usable. You do have people like Michael who are doing a lot of very core infrastructure, but at some point you do need people to actually build on top of that core infrastructure, build the actual applications. Now, I'm also not under the illusion that over time, that if I'm not offering more core infrastructure services, that'll be sustainable. I think if Telos continues to go up in price in the long run, there will have to be a natural transition where I start adding more services. I'm not going to say comparable to Michael's because I'm sure he'll say he could do it better, and he's probably right. But yeah, for now, I'm kind of looking at where Telos is in its life cycle, I guess you could say, and I've plopped out an area that I think is the best fit for my skill set as is right now.
Yeah,
nice. Michael?
So yeah, of course, we're probably, I guess, the rarest of anybody, just because you probably shouldn't do what we've done. But because of our broad depth in blockchains and some of the Bitcoin mining that we do, it was beneficial for us to have highly redundant enterprise, internet and redundant power, generators and things like that. So whenever we got involved with the EOSUSA space, now Antelope space, years and years ago, we realized that, kind of our sweet spot and what we could help bring to the ecosystem was being able to, I didn't have to rent a server for hundreds of dollars in the cloud, which meant that my OpEx was a lot lower. I could, make it through the winter a little easier, have my hardware already paid for, make whatever kind of work a little bit longer. And, we kind of got up and going along that line, and we're able to kind of bank tokens that, we were able to make here and there and not rip on the market whenever it didn't need to be. And then during opportune times, be able to cash in maybe some of those earnings that we had. And now, yes, we've got, like I say, I've got multiple gigabit fiber internet connections, a 60 kilowatt generator, 50 i9 10th generation massive, beast that run all the services and nodes, 2 of everything, 4 if it's really important. There you go, do it. But you can't really do that in different roles, right? You want to try to rent that from a cloud provider. Really, it's the space. They just rip you whenever you want to store 20 terabytes of NVMe, whatever. $2,000 worth of drives for me, give or take. It's a little bit different of a strategy. But like I say, I have a lot of extra overhead and different things. But due to our natural position where we are, it just kind of worked out. That was one of our strategies. And when OVH has a fire or Amazon's routing goes haywire on the West Coast, we're one of the few that isn't as directly impacted by that because we're kind of, off of those major data center grids, but, hanging in there.
But you're also doing multiple chains, right? Like in addition to proof of work mining, my understanding is you're doing EOS and WAX and
correct. We've, as a company, we have a very large presence across a lot of different blockchains. And yes, we have a large proof of work division, which was where it all kind of got started many, many years ago, and laid the groundwork for when I was able to, Telos kind of broke away and got started, and we started below, 50? I think it was 50 at the time the cutoff was. We didn't make any, when we first got registered, and had to kind of claw our way up. So we're able to kind of survive that winter and, earn our way up and then be able to better utilize the funds once we can.
You rose pretty quickly, though. I mean, at that time, we were still doing the TCD was still doing worker proposals for all our funding, right? And after the fact, so it's very visible to people, to voters, who was doing work and who was providing services and things like that, because we were being paid to do that, right?
And luckily, I was able to, like you talk about, I was able to dedicate. I mean, I left one of my positions at one of my other managed service companies that we owned, and came over here to the blockchain in 2018 and really dedicated. And EOSIO was a hard nut to crack. I mean, it didn't come with a manual, and the error messages, I think, are intentionally cryptic. It really took a lot, to get into there. But yes, I mean, if you were committed to the cause, and, I mean, if you were doing it as a hobby and you were doing it as a full-time job, it was really easy to be like, I don't know, that guy's trying. He don't know what the hell he's doing and breaks everything. But hey, he's willing to throw some servers at it. Not everybody can just, and that was a role I filled. I mean, I still joke about, I'm not really your dev, right? Jesse doesn't want me in his code. If you get EOSUSA commits, it ain't going to work. But let's spin up a whole chain and, let's smash the crap out of it. And then being across all the different chains, it's been great to be able to be exposed to a lot more different variations of what we do on Telos, at different variations on different chains and different issues to run into and be prepared for, things like that.
Yeah, you have economies of scale for one thing, but also prior to Antelope, there was very little knowledge exchange between the multiple chains, and there was a little, but nothing like right now. And the one area that did exist were in the BPs like you that were on most or every chain, right?
There were a few of us that really strive to look. I know you're doing your thing, whatever, but we're all doing 99% of the same thing. IBC is a big thing that, I mean, way back in the Dan Ideal days, would you rather have a chain of 1 million nodes or 10,000 chains of 10,000 nodes or whatever? I mean, some of the core fundamental. And even now in this coalition, we're kind of getting back around 4 years later, but back around to this concept of, look, we're all running the same code. We're all kind of in the same boat. We can all kind of work together and then branch out and bring in all the other ones. So it's exciting.
So last week on this show, we had myself, Eve, Lucas, and Guillaume from each of the chains. And so we were talking, this is the first time we'd ever been on sort of a public podcast. So because of your position on all these chains, you helped us lead the protocol switchover the last time around, and you're involved in that with the protocol changeover to Leap 3.1.
Yeah, so, I mean, the latest codes come out and kind of got it started. A lot of the BPs around the space, we tend to use, some of the heavier test networks. Jungle is one where we really kind of focus on. That's what we call the BP's playground, right? You don't build stuff over there. You want to see how it works. If the BPs aren't really paying attention, we're doing things over there to see how it responds and see how. That there's a reason it's a fourth version of Jungle, because the first three have been burned to the ground. So, but yeah, so we're heavily involved, with that process and trying to find the bugs and features and things, and then working with all of the different chains, hey, these are things that we learned, answering the questions for the folks that maybe don't live, eat, breathe, and die this stuff, I don't know. I clicked the button like I did last time and it didn't work. Yeah, it's a little, you got to hold your mouth to the left this time, not the right. But, and then being able to, help the other teams and the other projects be able to kind of jump forward and use the newer technology.
Are you taking part in the cannon the fire hose tests?
Yeah, he is.
For capacity. So for people who don't know, we've mentioned several times that we are doing testing for maximizing the speeds and the capacity of Telos. We're basically reproving our 10,000 transactions per second, but the number is higher. We're involved in that in some ways, and I think TelosUSA is providing a lot of the server
We
infrastructure.
are
to do
actually.
that.
So, I mean, like I said, oh, Kylan had a question. What?
Are you guys still trying to get that certified? I remember you guys were considering bringing someone in to try to verify that whatever number you get.
There's talked about, what all happens after and,
Okay.
and verification and stuff like that. But I mean, in concept, basically what we're doing is, number one, we're able to provide a lot of hardware, high end, I mean, we're constantly got it
Mhm.
rolling in. So I've got some 12th generation i9s that are dedicated to block signing. And also I've worked with some of the other block producers to kind of line up the way the BPs are set up and tweak some of the chain settings and, really do the best that we can to see, what is the true maximum throughput, and then, working our way back to, more normal, realistic, defining the whole test pattern, of what can things truly see burst, what can they see sustained,
Extremes at
things like
first.
that.
Yeah.
As well as what did the layer 2 solutions. So we've also got, state history nodes that we've thrown some servers at that are feeding Hyperion, history indexing, see how it can handle it, and obviously be able to see into the data of the blockchain. But the biggest thing, is we're able to throw hardware and some expertise and historical knowledge of how things can be bent, but maybe not broken, or maybe break a few things along the way.
Hey, you're famous for that.
Yeah.
People who don't know, Michael's very famous for breaking shit.
Back in the day, we had 4 years ago, and nobody really knew us, right? It was all the big names that all knew each other, and I was there. I was swinging for the fences, but I would come busting up in the channel, and my famous saying was, "Hi, my name's Michael, and I like to break shit."
I break your shit.
My accounts on all the chains are actually I break your shit. And I said I did that so when I go in and break your shit, you can know what to search for in the logs, and it easily shows up. So,
that's Michael. He broke your shit.
That's what I do. If you ask the actual ENF devs, I guess now that's what they're called now, but the old, the Antelope devs, they will even acknowledge I just have this uncanny ability at causing weird scenarios and breaking shit and just, damn, how do you do that? I don't know, but I'm a walking EMP. But it leads to, how much I fixed, and you know why I know how all this works is because I have broken it every way you can break it. And now I know, you just do this and it fixes it.
Yep.
I'm not quite sure how you managed to get lightning to strike your facility.
That was a fun one. Yeah, that was like 2 years ago.
What command brings that down?
Yeah, right. That's right. Now, what the kicker was, do you remember the way that actually played out? Right. So, I mean, lightning zap, and I mean, it fried, these megawatt, gearboxes and everything like that. Well, I mean, we're all on-prem, and I got all my servers, and, I was able to, limp along, but, our buildings, half melted. So we wheeled in a generator. This is before I had the on-site generator, but one of those generators on a trailer. And there's some pictures from years ago, and just ran, I don't know, it was like 100 amps worth of power off of these generators in, and ran our racks of servers for a week out of the building until our electricians could rebuild the entire gearbox to get our internal power back on after the lightning strike. But
that is amazing.
Wow.
That's why I said I was not winning any green awards that week. Whatever my farm was running, I mean, I was just pouring diesel into an inch and to run
everything that you've all the green that you've tried to save got removed.
Yeah, like I said, all that green from the nuclear
power.
You are
very green. We should talk. We should talk about that in a minute. Just why you are so probably the lowest. Even with that, one of the lowest carbon emitters amongst us. But so I haven't mentioned what GoodBlock does. So GoodBlock, we are in one data center. It's a professional data center. We've moved data centers a few times, but we're in one right now, and it runs great. It's got all the backup it needs. It's hydropower, but it as much in Washington is, but it will but it has a backup. It's got a diesel backup. Which doesn't get kicked in very often. And we just cram that rack with, with this as many. We have a full rack, and boy, we squeeze a lot of stuff in there.
Does it have lights? Does it have lights?
Oh yeah.
That's all that matters. That makes them go faster. You know my
gotta have
thing.
rainbow lights in it.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
lots
as
of
long as it's got
lights.
And then we
some
got
lights.
all of our hard drive, like the banks of hard drive server rack lights.
As
Oh,
long
the
as you can see the
coolest. And
blinky
you just like
blinkies,
this
that's okay. But
cascade
It
rainbow
looks like
down.
it's like a lowrider that's down in down in Southern California, one night, and with the lights underneath it, and yeah, it's all tricked out. Yeah, so we do that, and then we also out of there. I think we're contributing a little bit to the project of getting things, of the fire hose and stuff like that, but nothing like you are. But we're able to do a little here, a little there, and we're running a number of services and things like that. Just because we have the servers, it's easy enough. We're right now only on Telos. We've only ever been on Telos. Although, well, it's not entirely true. We did just join Libra.
that's right.
It's which is a new antelope chain that we're going to see if what happens. And I can share about that. But one thing I did do, by the way, is they had not done the airdrop correctly, so it wasn't capturing anybody who had their Telos in STEL or in Rex. So I was able to get together with them and get them to do a new snapshot of Telos with the help of Stan CC32.
Cool.
And so that people's Rex would count. So we should probably get that word out there. But my view on being a BP on other chains has modified somewhat since all this antelope work is gone.
I'd like to think that I had a small part of that over the years
Very
of
small.
our constant
Very small.
conversations
The
of
ice.
CC and I taking our subtle jabs. We're doing this on all the other chains too.
That wasn't the problem.
I know.
The problem
I know.
for me, and I had no problem with it, but for me, one big advantage is I didn't have to do the work myself anymore. Now I have Nathaniel, who's great at it, who runs it. It used to take a lot of brain space for me, and it was not ideal. I mean, we've had other people in the past who were in that role, but there was a lot of times where we didn't. And anytime we didn't have somebody who was running the sysadministration part, then it fell to me, and that made me want to limit how much I would do.
I think I remember at one time you got a guy, you had some change or whatever, and you kind of unregged for a little while because you were like, look, there are plenty of people to be able to do it, and which kudos. Like I say, it's definitely do your thing.
I had all the same expenses. still had the server, still had all that, but I just didn't have, with all the things we were doing, I didn't have the time and everything to get it done myself. It was more about time, not that I could.
But that's why the decentralization is great, right? I mean, you can.
Yeah.
I've unregged many a times when my ship blows up. Trust me.
Well, anyone who says that GoodBlock, that Telos and GoodBlock are synonymous or whatever, I can point out, hey, there have been 2 periods of several months where we were not registered as BPs and everything went fine, So, a little further proof of that. And then, of course, we do development like Decide Voter. And Kylan, you come in and you were a huge part of developing Decide Voter, and I think that's how people became more and more aware of the Telos crew as a Telos BP, right?
Yeah, I think we've been developing. Obviously, it's a GoodBlock product. I guess you could say I led development, or however you want to term that. But I think it's been about 18 months since we first started writing code on it. And now we finally released version 1.0, and we're pretty happy with the features. There's still some small bugs I think we're ironing out in the next 24 hours or so. But yes, for those of you, especially, I guess it's on both app stores right now too. It's updated on both app stores. So if you're on iOS or Android, I know the TED P3 proposal's out there. You can go find it on Decide Voter. I know the app links are working in some cases, so we're going to fix that. But go ahead and take a look. There's new filtering. You can create amend proposals, and you can vote yes on Douglas's TED P3 proposal as well.
Yeah. Well, it's the chain's TED P3 proposal. I just proposed it, and guess how I did that? I used Decide Voter, and so anyone can do these now, right? That was one of the things I was frustrated with, because GoodBlock had originally created Telos Decide. It was called Trail, and then it became Decide, and we went through some iterations. But that was something we created originally to use for ourselves as a sort of Haifa-like thing. But then we realized that the chain needed it, so we open sourced it. But I was frustrated that we were missing the opportunity of having all the features out there for people to use, right? Because the web version of it wasn't very strong, and I believe that people really actually prefer mobile devices for these types of things. So yeah, it's been a year and a half of development of really down in the elbow deep development. But I think it's a great app. I mean, like, I know tooting our own horn, but I there's nothing else that does it. And
Nothing.
And I think if people use it, I think it's a great user experience, So, so that really helped you. And I think that's how I pitched you on coming in and helping us develop it. I was like, trust me, you're going to get, this is how people are going to know you as a BP. So
Yeah,
I think it worked.
I was going to say, I remember when I first was coming in too as a BP, I think it was like early 2020. I think even in the top 42, there were some BPs who were hardly, I don't even know if their infrastructure was really working. So I think it was a time where it's, as the price goes up, you get more BPs, but when the price is down, some fall out. And, you got to make sure you keep bringing more BPs in, because you don't ever want to hit that dangerous part if the price is down low enough where the blockchain isn't stable, right?
Right. Well, or I don't think that's never happened on Telos, but there have been things where people could just instantly become an active block producer because there weren't enough others, and that's not good. But we're way past that now. I don't think you can get people coming in who don't have good block producing nodes, because they're going to be tested every month, and when they don't have it, their turn comes up to rotate in from the alternates, and they don't produce blocks.
Yeah.
So we try to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
So how has your Leap upgrade been for your own personal nodes?
We're upgraded across the board on all of our nodes we ran it on mainnet or test nets for a while, and then rolled it out to mainnet across the board. So, like I say, we're pretty much already all shifted over and working on helping everybody else kind of shift over. And
you have been very instrumental in that, for sure.
Yeah, you're leading that again, so that's another reason. If you're
one of many, I can't say I'm leading it. I'm just participating in the party, but
heavily participating.
Yeah, I say
it's good. A lot of things are like that, right? But it has to be like that. So, and we should. Who else is? Can you give a shout out to other people who are really helping on the Telos side? I know that Nation is, and probably some others.
Yeah. Ross over at Sphere. Ross over at Sphere is also one of my heavy tech guys. That's always kind of working behind the scene. Yeah, EOSphere, and he's really kind of ramped up. I mean, to be honest with you about all the how's the Leap upgrade going? Node upgrade's easy as pie. The hard part is the chains, herding the cats and coordinating, and that's really where Ross has helped out. And then there's been a lot of us nerds behind the scenes that have I think Central's been in there, Unlimited,
EOSUK.
Brian's jumped in there, teleology, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Teleology.
Yep.
There you go.
Nation is doing it. Nation.
Nation. Yeah, Nation. He hadn't been on the hardware, but they've been big instrumental on helping coordinate it and know a lot of the deep technical and also the contract sides of it. And then Jesse over at Kalios. The TCD has been involved a lot. The system contracts and getting those merged over. That's why I say. I mean, there's a lot of us that kind of have, what was that Moana song? Everybody has a role on this island, right? I mean, trying to learn with mine.
On this island.
There you go, right? But that's why I say it's in our forte, like I say. So that's definitely one of the projects we get heavily involved with. But there's plenty that keep the pot stirring.
Yeah, I like the fact that BPs can rise up the ranks in Telos into paid slots if they do work.
Yep.
Right. I like that.
Telos were the
What's
first
that?
blocks that we ever signed. Was that, we were trying to get on all the chains and working our way up and whatever. And that, Telos was the first structure that allowed you to show your worth, climb your ranks, work your way up there. Whereas, a lot of the other chains at the time had their own voting mechanisms, or a lot of them didn't even exist. But you always remember your first, right?
Your first block. I actually am very proud of that, because I think that's something that means that other BPs can come in on Telos, and when groups like Nation, EOS Nation, and came in, they bring so much expertise. When EOS Rio comes in, and they bring all that expertise on Hyperion, and like the more like it's the opposite of a brain drain, right? It's we bringing on more and more smart people who know what they're doing, who can work together, and I just think it makes the chain so much stronger. So I think this last year has been incredible for that, and I think people are going to see that once we do come out with our numbers. We were asked for the fire hose. People are asking how we're going to bring that together. Kylan, you were asking that a little while ago.
Right.
Like, have somebody verify that. Yes, we are looking for additional outside verification. We had one group that didn't happen, but we think we have another one that would be even more gooder. So we think that's going to happen. But even if not, our plan is to put a certain amount of transactions on the main net. You'd normally not do that, because you don't want to like clog up your main net with stuff. But I think that the way that crypto is these days, no one's going to believe it if we don't put 20 minutes of sustained high transactions on the main net. So and if we do that, then they can't. There's nothing they can say.
Right.
It's right there.
They can always dispute anything, but
well, they can. Yes.
we can have there's all sorts of opinions about all that. But the way we look at it is that we're working on implementing the technology in a private testing environment at this stage to really stress test it. It's been a while. We were involved with some of those original tests that saw the 10,000 TPS on Jungle. That really kind of benchmarked some of the original EOSIO Antelope.
Like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah,
that's correct. There's been a lot that's come.
I mean, even a little more. So
come since then, and like I say, knowing what we did then versus even some of the things we're doing now. I mean, there's different ways of approaching that, and at least learning some things about. We were just trying to burn the house down over there. We're doing some diagnostics and figuring out some things. Matter of fact, we've the Telos crew has really submitted several features over to the Antelope dev GitHub on either this broke or this would really be helpful as a feature in the real world when you start seeing these types of things. Yeah. So like I say, even if the TPS isn't validated by some whatever, because somebody's always going to argue it, right? But it's an exciting thing. And
I think yes. By the way, we also submitted all those things to the other company that used to be doing this stuff, and they never paid it attention. So the difference really isn't that we're submitting those; it's that there is that Antelope now is with Antelope we're now able to
work together.
Correct. That is a big thing, is that it's not an echo chamber that it's going into, because we were trying all along.
Finally not abandoned.
We're all very dedicated to that. It's strange for me to wear so many hats right now, but we do this. Well, which way are you talking about? Are you talking about Antelope or Telos Quadrats? Well, both. We sent this to us, and then it's a great time for us. I wanted us to. So I knew when we had that, I knew that we had to prove to people in a way that no one else has really proven it, that that this was what was going to happen on Telos, and that I knew that just by Moore's law and all the things that have been happening in the last 2.5 years since then, that the transaction number would be significantly higher, right? So I'm very excited for us to be able to bring that out. I'm really glad that with everyone who's helping to do that, is going to be that's going to be great. That's another alpha drop. That is coming out. It's going to be big. I don't think any of us can say how big, but I'm excited.
Okay, so We're out of time for the big conversation, so I've got some rapid fire questions for you, a few words or less. Michael, what's your favorite blockchain app right now?
Ooh, favorite blockchain app? Cleos.
Kylan, what's yours?
I got to rep Decide Voter, obviously, because we worked on that. But I also always want to give a shout out to GrayMass. I think Anchor has a lot of great features, and I know they have a lot of even better features that they're planning on developing. So I hope Aaron Cox and the rest of the team there stay hard at work, because I love the work that they're doing.
Nice. Douglas?
I'm going to say Apex. It's really great. It's really bringing a lot of our users in. It's unexpected for blockchain. Obviously, Decide Voter. I'm just sort of, obviously, I'm excited about that. I've already shared that, and Anchor is fantastic. You know what's good? I like MetaMask. Here's one I like. My favorite Telos interface is MetaMask. That's something new to be able to say, because that's what we use on the EVM, and that's what's bringing in so many users now. So,
can I add one more?
Yeah.
I was going to say Robino's. I think the betting guy.
So
they're
cool.
on EVM. I've been betting on a bunch of the UFC fights. If you guys want to get in there and bet against me, I'm pretty sure it's easy money.
Nice.
That is cool.
Horrible.
I'm horrible. Those guys just, I'm not much of a bettor, but what's awesome is they just they were on another chain, and they came to Telos EVM on kind of a, check it out. And then they decided to just transfer all the way over, because it was so much, just so much easier and faster and less expensive and everything to do it on Telos EVM. I think that's really cool.
System I'm most excited about is probably that IBC. That's our thing. It's all my networks. That's what I
have. You used it yet?
Have
you used it yet on testnet?
I've been doing so much.
It's on Telos testnet now, and we've done the first transactions. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
So,
it's
like
going to be insane.
That's probably what I'm the most excited about. I've been waiting for 4+ years for, like I said, we were one of the originals that were everywhere. Can't we just, we should be able to exchange stuff, much less if we, wait on Ethereum to develop a technology even catch up with us. But at least all of us in this ecosystem.
So we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Kylan. You got any final parting words for us?
Yeah, all I'd like to say is that it's nice that the whole Antelope IO thing has switched things around. There was a point when I would have never touched EOS tokens for a good 2 years there, and now I actually find myself considering buying some for the first time in a long time. So it's nice to feel that sort of synergy for once. And I hope we get plenty more of that going forward. Thanks for having me, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kylan.
Anything else you want to say, Michael?
Not really in particular. Just excited to be here in the space. And like I say, if you get a chance, try to throw some voting love at EOSUSA. That's how we all make our paychecks every month, and we aren't always the most visible out there, but the hamster in the wheel, trying to keep the blockchain going. So
you're definitely doing the work. People should definitely be voting for you, and as well for Telos Crew. Kylan is doing a lot for Telos, and we'll just put a little shout out for GoodBlock while we're at it, while you're adjusting your voting.
Y'all are doing a few things. I get it.
We're trying to do a number of things. So it's funny, we never talk about it, but but yeah, we're doing a lot.
Thank you for coming.
So, thanks so much, Michael. Great seeing you, man.
Can't wait to have you back on the show.
All right, thanks, guys. That was really awesome, learning so much about BNBPs and that whole thing. And now, everyone's favorite segment, Moss's Market Minute. 60 seconds of non-financial advice. Go.
This time we're going to talk about generational wealth. In the U.S., the top 10% of the population holds 76% of the country's wealth, while the bottom 50% only hold 1%. The major reason for that disparity is the transfer of wealth from generation to generation. Generational wealth can encompass all kinds of assets: savings, investment, property, collectibles, heirlooms, businesses. The key component is that isn't the asset itself, it is that you're passing it on to your heirs. The bulk of generational wealth is passed down at death in the form of inheritance. Between 1995 and 2016, more than 55% of inheritances were under 50K. The other end of this wealth spectrum, a mere 2% of inheritances exceeded $1 million. That same 2% accounts for 40% of all the money that has been passed down generationally. The 55% majority share was less than 6%. Our sources will be below. You shouldn't have to die to fund your heirs. You can transfer wealth in other ways with less tax implications. Generational wealth, everybody.
That is really interesting for people to think about. And that brings us into Doug's Alpha Drop. All right, so the Alpha Drop today this is something that is totally out there in public, but I don't think people have really thought about it yet. So the TEDP plan, Telos Economic Development Plan 3, is up for voting. Please vote. It looks like it has a strong chance of passing. Within that, if you read the whole TEDP thing I wrote, you will see that there's a lot of liquidity for Telos EVM exchanges, right? So that's Omnidex, that's Zappy, that's the new one that's come on, Trust Swap, which is going to be on Telos and Telos EVM. And so that liquidity and those incentives are going to flood those back up so they can be used again, which is great. But it also means it's almost impossible in my mind that their own tokens won't achieve greater value because they're super depressed right now, most of them, and it's because they haven't been used. But as that use comes back in and people start using these with this new flush of liquidity, it bears consideration that might bring new value to those things. And of course Dogecoin as well. Nathaniel reminded me, this is not financial advice, but read that TED plan. I would say it's a big financial shift on the economics of Telos, and there are going to be some winners out of it. And if you read that carefully and you see what's going to happen, bet accordingly.
You're going to know what elevator to ride.
I mean, that should be a good one. I think people should start looking, and there's no way that's, in my view, there's no way that's priced into anything yet. Yep. So not financial advice. Anything could happen. I'm the world's worst trader. I'm not a trader. I'm only an investor. So take everything with a grain of salt, but I'm excited about that.
I'm excited. That's a good one. And next, we're going to move on over to the BS of the week, block stuff of the week. So what do you got for us today, Douglas?
Well, a real quick update on last week. We had the lunacy as one of our big block stuff of the week. Yep. And the tail continues, right? Because for no good reason, they shot up 50%.
Someone donated $12.
Yeah, somebody put in a little money and it's shooting up. And boy, I sure don't see any technology or any reason why it won't end exactly the way that Luna ended. But maybe I'm missing something. Everything's funny around that. And then, so the Luna founder, Do Kwon, he is apparently under a red notice from Interpol to arrest him on site or something like that. Yep. What does that mean?
So they're not necessarily wanting to bring him in, but they're wanting to question him. And if he is passes in any Interpol checkpoints, they are going to flag him and detain him and probably extradite him. According to the article I read, it seems that he is comfortable on his Singapore living room floor writing code.
Yes, the Crypto Briefing had an article that said that he said, "I'm in my bedroom coding if anyone wants me," and then later on, a couple hours later, they updated and said he is in his living room. So subscribe to those moment by moment reports, right?
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of Quadriga CX, formerly the largest exchange in Canada, where their co-founder sort of disappeared and apparently died in India, they say, and part of India famous for fake death certificates.
Yes.
So and then And then now that's in the news again, right? Michael Patron, his other co-founder, he's got some other big venture that I'm sure is totally worth putting money into.
Yeah, it sounds like he's starting the UWU protocol. I'm not a fan personally. UWU, definitely. Wow. As in,
I'm looking at that. That looks like one of those Japanese emojis that start to create a face out of, text emojis to create a face out of something.
That is the emoji.
Yeah. Well, what's that supposed to do? Is it lending?
Yep, it's lending. He apparently already has around 60 million locked in for funding.
It's just a fork of Aave, right? Yep. So basically, here he took tech from Aave. We don't know if he did anything with it. Changed it. Raised 57 million. Wow. On a clone by a guy who, there's reasons to wonder about him. He was in this news like earlier this summer too, right? Or his name is Sifu, and he had brought in a ton of cash from Tornado Cash, right?
Yeah.
And you never know exactly where, he said where that came from, but it could, who knows, right? Like that would be a great way to, not accusing anyone of anything, but that would certainly be a great way to bring in cash from, say, lost accounts on that people said were locked forever because the Quadriga founder died with the only key, right?
Yep.
Who would know, right? So,
and that's our block stuff of the week.
That's some good block stuff right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And we'll see you guys next time. See ya.